What's going on, everybody? It is Monday night, April 13th, 2020. We are back once again. It is the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle Show. I am Don, Tony, as always, and join along with me is...
Kevin Castle. What's up, DT?
What'd you think of that end of Monday Night Raw tonight?
I liked it. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to hate on Raw tonight. If anybody was looking for that, I didn't hate it. I kind of liked it, and the ending was not bad.
Yeah,
they needed a good opponent. They needed a good opponent for Drew, and they got one.
Absolutely. Just shout out to everybody tuning in live on the replay, and just to let Mr. Krebs and all our YouTubers know that starting next week, all of these super chat messages will actually pop up on the screen. I talked about it on Friday. Unfortunately, I got nobody that wants to help me with this stuff. You know, they don't want to take away, their business. So I started working on it. I actually got it working great. The problem is the way it's configured right now, every chat message will pop up on the screen, and that'll just be madness for everybody out there. So maybe even Wednesday. I might have it configured by Wednesday, but for Mr. Krebs and everybody else, we'll have a lot of fun with that. So we're getting there. And by the way, I teased it earlier. This was my little tribute to New Jack. Few people are wondering, what shirt do I have on? Come on, man. It's the infamous OJ chase. Come on. That's like a shirt New Jack would wear. That's the OJ chase. It even's on the back, too. I would never wear it in public. I'd get assassinated for that. But so, Kev, Jerry Lawler's in a little bit of trouble.
Why?
Did you hear his comment tonight during the Tozawa Austin Theory match?
What did he say exactly? Someone was hitting me up. I guess I missed that part, the millisecond I was away from the TV.
He called it the Ramen Noodle Moonsault.
Yes, I did hear that, actually. I did hear that.
What do you think? You think this is the Jim Cornette situation? You think WWE is going to let this guy go? Me personally, I didn't think it was any big fucking deal. Just like I didn't think the Jim Cornette thing was any big deal, because, Jim Cornette made that phrase 50 times over the years. And yes, it's a distasteful phrase, but, as soon as he said that on Raw, I started doing social media searches, and that's it. They triggered all of the fucking panty waste, all the lightweights out there. Fire Lawler, fire Lawler, fire Lawler. I don't know. I was just curious what your reaction was to that.
My reaction was I wasn't sure if that was actually the name of the move. I really didn't think anything of it. I swear to God, it went right over my head, and I did hear it. I was like away from the TV, but I heard it in my kitchen, and I was just like, "Is that what it's called?" Like, I almost had like one of those reactions. I'm like, that can't be what it's called. But I just quickly forgot about it. But then I saw it trending about, Lawler's got to go, and I'm like, God, what's going on now? And I just kind of like, honestly, DT, I kind of dismissed it. I don't think it's all to do about nothing.
I told you, social media is toxic. Everybody is just, this idea that we're in coronavirus, that everybody's got to look out for each other. I don't buy it, man. The world is going to be fucked with this attitude as long as social media is around. Not even fucking tragedies. There's always something. And, I see so many people out there that, they get their feel-good moments. When there's a mass shooting or an earthquake or something, my thoughts and prayers. We got to start loving each other. And then 2 minutes later, fucking hate. And the Jerry Lawler thing, look, it's a stupid remark, the ramen noodle moonsault, but, right away, I mean, even the news that happened today, I guess maybe we should get into this before anything else, with WWE in Florida.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, well, anybody that checked out the Don Tony show on Friday, I brought up DeSantis once again, Ron DeSantis, Republican, big ally of Trump. You would think that I would like the guy. He's a fucking whack job. He's paranoid for fucking Florida. He's paranoid about tanking the economy. You know, he's got, as I said on Friday, he's got balls the size of marbles. And I prepared everybody about a week or so ago that this guy, if you pay attention to what he's saying and doing, he's like really trying to like walk that fine line and beat it, you know, just not fucking go right out and say, look, blah, 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 and blah. You know, and that's why you had all these morons on the beach for spring break doing interviews. Oh, I don't care if I get coronavirus. Whatever. I get a shot and that's it. You know, that's the mindset. You know, when we heard about somebody testing positive for COVID in WWE, I talked about it Friday and Mish and I were talking about it yesterday. You know, I do not find fault in whoever this person was that went out to dinner with a health employee. You know, in New York, you and I would think it's insane to do right now. But in Florida, back in the end of March, the mindset was, oh, man, New York, you're fucked up right now. But Florida, we're doing good. You know, we're doing better. So we don't have to worry about stuff like that. So anyway, the mayor of Orange County, Florida, who actually is the jurisdiction for WWE's Performance Center, he did a little interview today. And the subject of WWE was brought up because we learned today that Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, deemed that WWE, get ready for this, everybody, that they are considered essential business. Cops, nurses, bankers, insurance, deli people, post office, contractors, gardeners, and WWE. This is what he had to say. Let me cue this shit up. Here it is. Okay, here we go.
WWE, which is taping their shows here in town, announced last night they had one of their, I believe it was an onstage performer, test positive. Are you aware, are they deemed an essential business, or did they get a special exemption to stay open, or are you aware of how they're able to?
I think initially there was a review that was done, and they were not essentially deemed, they were not initially deemed an essential business. With some conversation with the governor's office regarding the governor's order, they were deemed an essential business. And so therefore they were allowed to remain open. In terms of the specifics associated with the wrestler who, or personality who tested positive, I don't know any of the details of that, obviously, because of HIPAA laws, et cetera. I don't know that, but, you know, that's like a little family, a small family of professional athletes that wrestle, and, you know, if one of my family members tested positive in my house, that would be concerning to me. You know, we would have to make some provisions in my house to make sure that the rest of us not get infected. And so I would assume that from a business perspective, the WWE is doing that type of analysis of its own family.
What do you think?
I mean, I heard the story. I heard about this. I mean, clearly Vince has a lot of stroke in Florida. Do they bring in that kind of money? Are they that essential to the economy in Florida that they became essential? But wouldn't that be the same for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the, Florida Marlins? So again, I'm trying to ponder this whole thing. I mean, I'm trying to think if wrestling is essential, wouldn't other sports? But they're not a sport. They're sports entertainment. I'm trying to dance around maybe this whole thing of how they are different from other sports teams that had to shut it down.
This,
Miami Heat and stuff like that, who are essential to the economy in Florida. Miami Heat bring in a lot of money. I mean, so again, is it entertainment aspect, DT? Is it that facet of it?
Well,
entertainment.
This idea of people, again, unfortunately, I had to educate everybody about insurance and pro wrestling. I had to educate everybody about independent contractors. I had to educate everybody about the other companies in Florida WrestleMania weekend, and, all the excuses people are trying to make, and I got to do it again here now. The thing is that the people out there that are saying that, WWE, what's the best way I could put this? That they have sponsors to deal with and advertisers. And if they don't deliver that live programming, that they're not going to be able to make the money and this and that. If that was the case, you look at all these sports franchises and all these other entertainment outlets out there that can't deliver right now. They'd all be fucking filing for bankruptcy. Now, the XFL situation we'll talk about a little bit later. But the thing is that, the bottom line is that WWE wants to make money. They lost, think about the $100 million plus whatever it is for WrestleMania that was supposed to take place in that stadium. All of that revenue, ticket sales, merchandise, buy rates, all that was lost. Yeah. WWE can't fucking file a claim. I saw these geniuses a month ago, business interrupt. You don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about. WWE is trying to recover. This stock is $65 down than what it used to be. I was talking to Mish yesterday on Breakfast Soup on Patreon, and I asked him, and I'll ask you this question. Do you think that if WWE stock, right now it's about $35, give or take a little bit, if this stock right now, I'm not even going to say the high point of 100, but let's say there was $65 or $70 a share right now, you think WWE would be doing live events at the Performance Center right now?
Probably not, no.
You don't think so? Okay. The bottom line is that WWE, and I made this comment over a month ago, they want to be the emotional Band-Aid of the world. They think that they are bigger than the fucking virus. You see how they can't even mention it by name, and it was only today that some type of multi-personality PSA came out. And again, I don't know what WWE's infatuation is with washing hands and coronavirus. I mean, you're supposed to fucking wash your hands all the time anyway. And you look at every statement that has been said from the WWE up until now, indirectly about coronavirus, 95% of it is focused around washing hands. Instead of, stay home, stay away from, don't get your mom sick or your grandma sick. It's almost like they're afraid to make the young fans cry because WWE's telling them, I could kill mommy, I could kill grandma. All it is fucking wash these hands, wash these hands, wash these hands. So WWE losing that WrestleMania payday, having their stock taking a massive tumble, XFL out of business now, filed bankruptcy, they are done history, and WWE has god-awful momentum right now that they think if they're the emotional Band-Aid of the world, that look, while everybody else was you could see it 6 months from now, while everybody else was shut down, WWE kept going. All the wrestlers fucking performed. All they cared about was the fans out there. And although I give everybody that's wrestling credit for getting out and working and doing what they want to do, it still comes off with this arrogance that we're bigger than the fucking virus. And, I'm not going to complain the quality of content we get right now because it's better than nothing. It's almost like a big restaurant that's still open for business, and when you call them up on the menu, really all they have is the appetizer menu. That they're not making crazy big-ass dishes right now because of the circumstances. So you take whatever you can and you enjoy it. And that'll lead to Edge in a little bit, what Edge had to say. I'm sure you and I have a nice debate there. But I think it's just the case that WWE, because of the amount of money they bring to Florida, because of the power, the Vince, the billionaire, the company, the Performance Center, all the money with Orange County. I mean, they had that big conference call with Trump last week. I think Vince convinced DeSantis that, look, our wrestlers, once they're in Florida, they're going right to the hotel or right to their houses. They're not mingling with anyone. They're not going to Starbucks. They're not going to the deli. They're going straight from the Performance Center to the hotel or to the house. And that's all they're going to do. and were filming it, and they gave them the okay.
Yeah.
So, do you agree with Florida giving them the okay?
I mean, I've mixed feelings on it. I mean, look, from what we do from our perspective for podcasting, boy, would it be different for us. I mean, we could pull it off. We're around for a long time, DT. We can talk about different things. We always said we're not just about wrestling. But podcasters that do wrestling, we need content. And what are we going to talk about all the time? If there was nothing, they shut everything down. WWE, AEW, there's nothing to talk about. Be reaching for content. We're going to be like, shit, how are we going to do this? So in a way, I appreciate that they're giving us, like tonight, we can do a full Raw review with a lot of stuff that we can talk about beyond what we're talking about now, which makes us, carries the show and brings us to where we need to get to with the show, and other people too. But on the other hand, right, business, health, of course, takes over precedent over business. But if it can be done and people are allowing it to be done, if you can find a way, a safe way, and yes, one person, someone from personnel, whoever, they're not revealing who that person is from WWE, tested positive. Now, as far as no one else has tested positive, there was rumors about Carmella, and she, said that doesn't have coronavirus. Bullshit, whatever. Bobby Lashley, they put out a rumor about him. Rumors were flying about several people that had coronavirus, but that's been proven to be not the case. So if they're allowing it to happen, I don't want to think, like there's some big conspiracy where they don't care about people and that they're evil and that they're going to put everybody's life on the line just to have a show. I don't know, man. I think that, again, if people are willing participants, they're willing and able to do something. And like I said, these guys aren't forced to. Roman Reigns went home. We don't even know if we'll see him back in the company. Who knows? We don't even know what's going to happen with that down the road, if this guy will even be back. And I really mean that. I don't know if Roman Reigns will be back in the WWE. That's my opinion. I don't have any facts to back that up. I'm just saying I have this feeling this is going to be not a good situation when this is all said and done. But everyone's voluntarily going. I don't think anybody's forced. I think they're like, hey, if I'm clear, I get in, get my temperature taken, I'm okay, I go home, I'm all covered up. Then, we're all grown adults here making grown adults decisions. But if they were forced, DT, and there was the underlying threat.
Nobody's forced.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying, DT. There's nobody forced. They're willingly coming in. And I believe Drew McIntyre really believes that he's glad to be the face now, that he's showing people he wants to be the locker room leader and show people, I'm trying to give you entertainment. I believe some of these guys and girls actually believe this. Well, that they're doing something noble for us, and good for them if they are. And some people are appreciating it, and some people are like, go home, shut it down. This is ridiculous.
But here's the only problem I have with it. Mm-hmm. You, me, a lot of people listening, viewing,
right?
Athletes, actors, regular office people, they want to work and do stuff as well and be careful about it, and they're forced not to. Correct. See, this is the thing that people, I think, really need to take a step back and think about. And I brought this up Friday a little bit, and this is something that I've been pointing out for about 3 years now, that when you notice social media, like something changed with WWE a couple of years ago, that in the past you ignored the trolls, you wrote off the trolls, you blocked the trolls, you don't pay them no mind, you don't give them any satisfaction whatsoever. And then about 3 years ago, around that time, they started this gang mentality that they're going to start snapping back and speaking out. And they always would, most of the time, would look for a social media account that would have virtually no profile, have very few followers, and then they would basically go after that person, just say something in return. And then you would have, like, for example, somebody will say something really nasty about one of the female members, and that person will respond. And then next thing you know, this member of the female roster responds, and this one responds, and this one responds, and then the whole fucking roster shows support for this person. But meanwhile, you're saying to yourself, why did this fucking person acknowledge a fake account troll on social media with 10 followers in the first place? And that became a pattern. And I don't want to single out anybody individually, but there's a few people that are non-white, non-Italian, maybe male, maybe female, it's really not black, to be honest with you, because, the roster is a lot more of a black presence than it was in the past. But others, I think you could figure out some of the names. Right. And, so this is what you have. And the idea that fans out there or these websites or podcasters think that all of these wrestlers, male, female, in the ring, outside the ring, are under a tremendous pressure right now to go to Florida anyway. And they have this, the people reporting today, the vibe at the Performance Center is uncertainty and concern and this and that. That's fucking common sense. If you went back to work tomorrow, whether it's in a bar or an office or anything else, we would all have a little bit of concern because of what just went down. If there was a fucking shooting a block away from your place or down the, you would go back and you would feel a little concerned, like, hey, maybe we have to be a little bit more cautious or this and that. So, and Joe Punches says, his family, he's shouting out everybody that his family and him are doing fine. And I know he's got, presence out there as well. And the thing is that, the men and the women in WWE, most of them are on the same page. And I did something earlier today, and I invite anybody tuning in live to let me know if I'm making a mistake with any of these names. And by the way, again, Joe Punches, thank you very much, my friend. Thoughts out to you and your family as well. And he wants me to express everybody as well. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Everybody is staying safe, keeping your sanity a little bit. The worst is about to be over, and hopefully good times in the very near future. But I took the Raw and Smackdown roster, and I looked at it from a couple of months ago. And I made a list of names that I have not seen on television since the empty arenas have started. Kev, if any of these names I mention, you remember that they have been in the building empty, or if anybody live right now, if you hear a name and you're like, no, that person was actually at the Performance Center, let me know. But when I go through this list, there's something very important about this, okay? Kurt Hawkins. You seen Kurt Hawkins at the Performance Center?
Kurt Hawkins, was he involved in that when Gronk jumped into the thing?
I don't recall him doing something with Gronk. So I don't think Kurt Hawkins was there. EC3, I don't recall if EC3 was there. Eric Young.
Things of him working out every day on Instagram.
Yeah, Eric Young, I don't recall anything with him.
No, he's in his house. I saw him the other day.
Eric Rowan. Was Eric Rowan in the empty arena since they fucking revealed that fucking rat, the spider, whatever that shit was? Eric Rowan?
No, I haven't seen Eric Rowan.
Okay. Authors of Pain, I don't recall seeing in the Performance Center.
No.
Jinder Mahal, haven't seen him. He was injured. He's on his way back. They're just trying to find a storyline with him. Rusev, we don't know what his future is. Rusev is not there. I don't recall seeing Sin Cara. I don't know if he was with the Lucha House Party on SmackDown. Maybe he was, but I don't recall that. I don't even think he is fucking part of that. Samoa Joe, we heard the rumors of the suspension or the injury, whatever it is. I don't recall Samoa Joe. Shelton Benjamin, Zack Ryder. You recall either one of them? I don't.
Zack Ryder, no, I haven't seen Zack Ryder.
The Iconics, they're trying.
Only see him on Instagram with new gimmicks they're working on.
Ember Moon, wasn't she injured?
Saw Ember Moon on backstage a few weeks ago.
Okay.
That was the last time I saw her.
All right. But if you listen to these names so far, how many of these names were really on TV beforehand? The AOP are the only ones really that stand out to me, and Samoa Joe, there was some controversy online. But let me get into a few more, because there's only a few more. Bo Dallas, they haven't done nothing with. No. Cain Velasquez, good. Good. That's all I have to say. Shorty G.
I haven't seen Shorty G. No, I haven't seen him.
Yeah. Curtis Axel, Heath Slater.
No, I haven't seen either one of those two.
Creepy Ali was just a video,
Yeah.
So I don't even think he could count. Xavier Woods is injured, and I don't recall if Robert Roode has been in the empty building.
I think we saw Robert Roode a couple of weeks ago.
Robert Roode, he may be the only one, but I don't see. There's no other names. So my point is, when you realize all the names I just mentioned, 90% of the roster has showed up despite the coronavirus. And what I think is kind of what I said last week, that this, you see, like they're trying to make the cohesive unit with Austin Theory and Garza and Andrade today in the ring, like the Spanish Shield or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think this is a case where some wrestlers that would not normally get a shot are getting some type of an opportunity. And I think it's the opposite right now. I think a lot of wrestlers, since Randy Orton is home, AJ Styles is home, Undertaker is home, Roman Reigns is not coming back anytime soon. We don't know what's happening with Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan said he was going to go into quarantine for 2 weeks.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, so if you really look at it, there are some slots open right now. So some wrestlers are like, fuck that, man. I'm not losing this opportunity to possibly go a little bit up the ladder. So for everybody out there that thinks that all the wrestlers are being forced to or threatened with their job security if they don't go to Florida, show me any type of evidence. There's none. And when you see, how the WWE like all sticks together on social, I think all these wrestlers, they're all looking, they're one big family.
Yep.
They're not looking to get each other sick. They're not going to do anything stupid. I think they all want to be there.
I agree. I think they all, exactly. I don't know why people think, that people can't be happy in an environment at work just because we're all, I'm not happy. 4 weeks ago. Now I want to kiss him. That's how much I miss going to work. But yeah, I watch Drew and I see his interviews, and I think he means it. He goes, in a way, this is a blessing for me because I could show my leadership and rally the troops and be the face and lift everybody's spirits up. I think he really wants to do that. But, he's just, Vince is telling him, no. How do you have no evidence of that? I think these people want to be there, and when you're happy in a work environment, even during a pandemic, sometimes you want to listen. Just like the brave people who are going out to work, from the clerks to the people who are working every day, they want to be there. They don't have to be there. They could be like, fuck this, I'm not doing it. And some people are, fuck this, I'm not doing it. And hey, do what you got to do. No judgment either way. But there are people who go to work and say, I like my job. I'm willing to do this to get the satisfaction of that. That's the human spirit, man. It's alive in a lot of people.
See,
why do people think everything's got to be a force or a fucking underlying like sinister thing to get you to do something? That's people watch too much TV.
See, this is the point also. Hangman Page. Hopefully I could pull it up really, really quick. Okay, Hangman Page. Last week, he wrote this. He said he's home eating pork rinds and having an existential crisis in which he realizes that his life's work is not quote-unquote essential and will fade into nothingness like some assholes puff of vape smoke in the second floor wing of a bathroom. And, I think Sami Zayn last week might have actually responded to him, because, again, and the funny thing is once WWE was deemed essential, he posted a joke at himself. He wrote, never mind, because they were deemed essential. But the thing is that, again, this is not a jealousy. I swear to God, it's not a jealousy in any way, shape, or form. But I think more WWE than AEW, because AEW obviously is a new company. Yes, they have some veterans, but I think WWE, the wrestlers, I mean, my God, you see how Stephanie, with the philanthropy, whatever that shit is, and you see Vince and Triple H and the way the perception is of WWE being the emotional band-aid of the world. You don't think that they don't instill that in their employees' brains as well? You are very special people. You are role models. You influence little children. Little children look up to you. They see this, they see that. And I think it goes to everybody's head. The fact that Sami Zayn had to comment about it on social media, the fact that some of these wrestlers take it as an insult, that they're not essential business.
Yeah.
That should give people, and just because it's a wrestler that you like, You know, you're allowed to disagree with someone. The mindset of a lot of people in wrestling with the blue check marks, they think that they are essential for the world's problems. They take it as an insult if they're told, no, you're just like everybody else here. You're not essential. You're not media. You know, you're not news. You're not this. And they take it personally. So this idea that the wrestlers, the valets, Jerry Lawler, my God bless him that he is still around and he has overcome his heart issues. But this fucking motherfucker, forget the ramen noodle thing. I had no problem with that too much. But this motherfucker goes on his podcast and actually said earlier this week, you know, and I don't remember it verbatim, but he said that because all different age groups have caught coronavirus, he doesn't think that it affects older people worse. This motherfucker's got heart issues, a heart condition, and he's older.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just this godlike mentality. Not God, but that they are bigger than the regular people out there.
Bigger than the virus, like you said.
Bigger than the virus, like I said. And, you know, I don't wish ill on any of them, but I said this 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I'll say it again now. The only thing that was going to stop WWE from doing this is either the government or the fucking virus itself. The virus hit somebody who's not a wrestler. You get another 1 or 2 wrestlers in the ring hit with that virus, you know, you see what happens. It's only going to be 1 or 2. They weren't going to stop on their own, because if they stop business for a month, it's not that they're going to file bankruptcy because of it. It's they're admitting to the world that they're not as important as they claim that they are. I mean, I love wrestling. I love WWE. I love AEW. I love MLW, even though, you know, Court Bauer stuff is old and dead and buried. But Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, New Japan, I have newfound love for a lot of promotions. I always ignored it for years and years and years. But I also feel that, you know, they are bleed the same as us. They are the same as us. And this idea that they have to feel that they are more superior than everybody else, I think it's a shot in the face. I think it's disrespectful. I think just because you have a blue check mark, you know, and I cleared this up a little bit yesterday, but, you know, since most everybody out there doesn't have Patreon, I'll say it here now. When I was talking about Urbis Alba, I did Elba, whatever his name is, yeah. And that's the UK, I guess, actor that tested positive. I was ripping him last week because when he announced that he was positive, you know, he went on video and with a clear fucking head, he's like, I showed no symptoms. I showed this and I fucking got tested, blah, 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 blah. And my whole point of what I was saying is that everybody that's tuning in right now, you, Kev, your mom, your brother, my mom, my father, me, my friends, my neighbors, my aunt, even my fiance's brother who tested positive for coronavirus. He's in NYU hospital right now. All right. None of us can get the test unless we show symptoms first. This Elba person admitted he had no symptoms. Somehow he got the test. You see where I'm going with this? At the end of the day, you know, it's the blue check marks, and certain people have more status than everybody else. And, you know, I just find it very disrespectful. You know, I just find it very disrespectful. You know, and somebody said to me the other day, oh, well, Elba was around somebody who tested positive. Yeah. Still, you, me, and everybody else tuning in right now, you call your doctor right now, look, I don't feel well. I think I have the virus. You know what they're going to say? Do you have a temperature? Do you have this? Do you have that? No, I feel fine. Well, you can't take the test until you actually show signs. And all of these people show no signs. I guarantee you that every single person that is at the Performance Center got some type of coronavirus test done, especially after somebody tested positive.
You would think so. You would think that.
Yeah. this idea that, put it this way, when Stephanie originally said that anybody with a fever of 100.4 and higher is not allowed in the building, it went over a lot of people's head. What she admitted was that if they have 100.0, they're allowed in the building. 99.8, 100.2, they're allowed in the building. 100.
Some people run hot, you know.
Yeah, but the thing is that, you know, that's called walking the fine line. So it's not that, you know, we're really concerned about everybody and, you know, we got to take this seriously. And that's why you had no public service announcements, because they would come off as hypocritical. Now, because they're deemed essential media, now all the PSAs come out. Today, 5, 6, 7 superstars are all talking about being careful, and it had coronavirus.org. It didn't even have WWE's website on it. You know, it's just, it's not jealousy, but you see firsthand with WWE, and even Hangman Page's tweet, the fact that he even tweeted about, you know, he just realized that he's not essential. You know what I mean? Like, their mindset, these wrestlers are, no, we are the, as I said a month ago, we are the emotional band-aids of the world. They believe that their status, because of who they are and they're entertainers, that they should have a right that none of else. Kev, if your boss called you up tomorrow and said, hey, did you hear what Cuomo said? Cuomo said we could go back to work. Would you work tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I would. There'd be a lot of going back and forth to see who's actually going to show up to work this weekend. You know what I mean? Like, they gave us the green light. There'd probably be a lot of prep work that we have to do. But yeah, I mean, I'd want to go back. I mean, but tomorrow, obviously, I'd question a little bit because I'm like, wow, that was abrupt. But if they say May 1st, yeah, I'm more than willing to take a shot May 1st.
And I think a lot of people out there would go back to work if they had the opportunity tomorrow. And I think everybody out there would just be very careful. Social distance, sanitize, keep yourself clean, don't touch your face, or this and that, especially if you're around people. And you would take precautions, plain and simple. But the fact that so many people out there who really want to work, who can work, or even in an environment that would prevent them from getting the virus, you know, there's accountants that do taxes. They work by themselves. Lawyers, they do things by appointment. Why can't they fucking just teleconference? Just do a Skype. They don't need people, but there's a lot of people who are not allowed. One of my friends that owns a women's clothing store, I saw his lights on today when I was doing a bank run, and I stopped in, and he had his door, he was open. He was in there, and he was trying to make a little money under the table. I think within the next week, you're going to start hearing or seeing a lot of news reports of some people opening up their businesses again and trying to make some money on the side and to try to make ends meet. That's what's going to start happening.
I think that's definitely going to happen. I think if they don't lift the sanctions by May 1st, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of restless business owners and a lot of rebellious moves made. Because DT, there's so many mixed messages right now. Cuomo's like, we need to get back to work. De Blasio's like, we're shut down for months. Cuomo says, you have no authority to do that. and then Trump says, I call the shots around here. So, I mean, did you see that with Cuomo and de Blasio? De Blasio's like, de Blasio have us in our houses till December. Cuomo's like, we're getting back in about a month. Yeah. So, they got to get on the same page in New York. It's ridiculous, man.
By the way, Mr. Krebs, I did get a new fan. This one I actually had on. It's got 4 speeds. I had it on a few minutes ago. It makes no noise. So I'm debating if I'm going to return the other one or if I'm going to maybe just keep it and put it in the other house. But yeah, this one is awesome. In fact, if anybody out there wants the link for this one, it's like $16. It's rechargeable and it's got 4 speeds. And it's really, really nice. It's very, very quiet if you want a little bit of fan because it's fucking hot in this room right now. We're not even in the summertime yet. But anyway, you want to talk about Raw a little bit and then we'll get into a couple other tidbits of news?
Sure, let's do Raw.
All right. I want to shout out our returning associate producer, Naeem Khalifa. Shout out to Naeem. Our new and returning patrons, Gilor Berenstain, I believe it is. Freddie J, Zach Spoonermore, welcome back. Dmitry Abramov. Let me know. Tell me, Dimitri. What's up, Dimitri? And Mr. Krabs. I know a lot of my YouTubers see him there, and he is a proud patron now as well. So WWE Raw today, we had Drew McIntyre come out, interrupted by Andrade and Zelina Vega. It is what it is, I don't think, who do you think is going to be feuding with Drew McIntyre next? Any feel? You think it's Seth?
Clearly Seth. Yeah, clearly Seth. I think that Three Amigos crew, or the Spanish Shield, as you call them, which I like the faction. I like the three of them together. I like what Zelina's doing with a faction. She needed that.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be Seth. Unless, like I said, if Drew can take on, he can handle two feuds at the same time. But I think clearly after what we saw tonight, it's going to be Seth Rollins. I think Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens should be done. That should be over. So yeah. Seth needs an opponent. Drew needs someone that is believable, that's going to be able to beat him. Andrade is not believable that he's remotely going to beat him. Yeah. Seth can take the title off him next week if they wanted to. So people will be more in tune to that feud because Seth is a real threat and Andrade's not a threat.
Yeah. And Benjamin, I didn't forget what you said earlier. Austin Theory is actually not Spanish. So when I said this with the Spanish Shield or whatever it is, look, even if he's not Spanish, he could play one on TV. Muhammad Hassan was fucking Italian. He was a Guinea, and he played a fucking Muslim. Liv Morgan played, I don't know what she played. People were like, oh, she was bisexual. I said back then, I not necessarily believed that was a bisexual angle. It could have been that she was infatuated with Lana. But, just what someone is, in their private life doesn't mean that, because honestly, the way that comes off on TV, it kind of feels like a Latino clique.
It does. And DT, do you remember back in the day when the Sheik had Sheik Blackwell and Sheik Patera?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ken Patera was a Muslim for a little while in the AWA.
Yeah.
Sheik Patera.
Now, Friday, I talked about it Wednesday, I talked about it Friday. After today, I feel even more convinced of it. I am very concerned that the Kabuki Warriors are almost done. I feel there is going to be a split. Would not surprised if Asuka turns on Kairi Sane. And this is something, last week, some people thought I was a little hard on Liv Morgan for having that long of a match against Asuka. I tried to explain it a little bit on Wednesday that, look, this is entertainment, obviously, but wins and losses do matter. They may not matter for someone who's getting a paycheck and actually working and, getting steady money. But perception is very important because WWE has a track record that when someone loses constantly, they usually don't get, we want to support winners. We're wrestling fans, how would we have all reacted the same way if Kofi lost WrestleMania last year? When McIntyre, we want to get behind our favorites and we want our favorites to win. That's what wrestling's all about, winning. Yep. It's about winning. So when you see someone losing, abruptly losing and losing, you start getting concerned that WWE is now moved on from that person. And tonight we had 3 women's Money in the Bank qualifying matches, which I like, the idea of them doing this. Next week we get the men, which I have the photo. I'll put it up in a couple of moments. But tonight it was about the women. Opening match, Asuka beating Ruby Riott in 13 minutes. What'd you think of the match?
I thought it was a good match. I'm a big Ruby Riott fan. I thought it was going to be a quick squash, but I was happy to see that there was some good offense and defense from both ladies. They got longer time, obviously, because of the circumstances. If it was live in front of a big crowd, Asuka probably would have took her out in about 60 seconds. Maybe I'm living in a fool's paradise. I'm still hoping they do something with Ruby Riott down the road. So I'm a big fan of hers. But Asuka continues to get the push as a singles. I think you're right, DT. I think her and Kairi are going to have a falling out. I think after Kairi losing handily tonight, Nia Jax could set up next week for Asuka to maybe beat her down or something. So I wouldn't be surprised if that even happens next week. Asuka continues to get the singles push. I say this again, Asuka looks like she's having a ball.
Yeah,
she is having a fucking ball. So whoever reports wants to go here, wants to go there, watch television, because no one's that good of an actress. That girl, talk about, looks like they want to be there. Asuka next to Drew McIntyre looks like the second person who wants to be there the most in the locker room. And it's shining through her way. She looks like she's never been happier there.
I got news for you. Of all of the empty arena Raws and Smackdowns that we have had so far, if you said to me, DT, who is the MVP of the empty arena right now as far as the work put in, I give it to Asuka. Hands down. Hands down. I mean, it's not just showing up every single week, but, she knows to capitalize on the empty arena, to get very, very loud, very animated. She was doing the commentary. We didn't understand a fucking word she said, and everybody loved it still. Asuka, by far, the MVP of the empty arena so far. She adds to the ladder match, the Money in the Bank match, no doubt. Ruby Riott, look, she's talented, and I'm a fan of hers, but it just feels like something is not caught on since she's been back. They tried to have the feud with her and Liv Morgan. It really did not go much of anywhere. They had the three of them doing the Elimination Chamber. I still feel that Sarah Logan is, I don't know if she's on her way out, but Sarah Logan is, the one who is going to lose out of the three. You could put we can talk. We don't got to go chronological. With the Sarah Logan thing, we saw her, and it wasn't many matches after, with the selling, so to speak, of her injury from the cage fighter. Well, I look at it like this. There's some people that know how to sell. They could scream, they can yell, they ow. Just not ow, but. Sarah Logan, this is a perfect example of what I have said in the past, that some women, Naomi was the one that stood out to me. And you know what? I cut her slack because the empty arenas is something to get used to right now. But there's some wrestlers that when they get hit, they're not vocal about it. Like if somebody puts you in a submission move, like Charlotte will scream, some people will scream, and some people will just be like, and they don't make any sound. Or they get, like a finishing move on them, and they'll just like lay there like they're zombies. Sure, there's moves that knock you out, but Sarah Logan, her way of selling is to cry like a baby. And it was just like, she should have been yelling and screaming in pain. Instead, she's crying. Like she got her WWE release. She's crying like her grandma fell victim to COVID. I hate to say it like that, but, somebody fucking snaps your arm back, you're going to be screaming in fucking pain. That was a fucking crying like she just broke up with someone, The announcer, Mike Rome, whatever his name is, whoever the fuck is, Mike, what am I saying, Mike Rome? Was it Mike Rome? No, Mike Rome is not even it. Well, anyway, it might have been him. But they made the mistake and thought that she won, that Shayna Baszler, because of what she did, but they corrected it later, that Shayna Baszler actually advanced in it. It looked good. I mean, but, her selling it, I just felt like, the over crying of it, I don't know. Yeah, no, Team Gaming, I think I'm right. Mike Rome, wasn't he the one that said that Sarah Logan won the match?
Didn't it? Well, she was disqualified because she wouldn't let go?
No. Shayna Baszler, why would she be disqualified? She didn't do anything wrong in the ring.
Oh, he goofed, he said. Was he the guy he goofed that?
Yeah, he goofed it. They called that Shayna Baszler.
Mike Rome, yeah, Mike Rome goofed it. Okay.
Yeah, he goofed it. But, it was all right. I mean, Shayna Baszler, less is more. Less is more. And I don't know, if she's going to win Money in the Bank yet. We don't know who the SmackDown qualifiers are. But, the match was, technically 50 seconds, but, you know, I don't know what this does for Sarah Logan, because I don't know if they're going to sell that she has a broken arm or a dislocated arm or something like that. Steven Fischel says the announcer said it, but Mike Rowe, is that his name? But I could have sworn that the announcer said that Sarah Logan won, and then they clarified it later. The bottom line is that Shayna Baszler advances, and Sarah Logan is, you know, maybe on the shelf.
Could be, yeah.
You know? But Shayna Baszler, I have no problem with. She has done nothing different that she's done in NXT. It's just that, again, she ran into the redheaded wall. That's what happened.
That's really what it was.
She intimidated the fuck out of people in NXT. And, you know, she bites Becky Lynch in the neck. And instead of selling it that she's got to get rushed out, Becky, no, I fucking hijacked the ambulance. I'm going to steal the ambulance and drive it myself. Like, my God, could you just make her look like a fucking, you know, like a bitched out pussy, injured pussy for a second? You know, like they got to be so tough that if she got shot, she'd probably make the tourniquet herself. You know, she'll pull a bullet out herself. You know what I mean? It's just like they really fucked up Shayna Baszler by not having Becky Lynch be a victim. You know, she's a victim, but it's like a Michael Myers victim. Like, you shoot somebody, they fucking die. Michael Myers, he no-sells it. She no-sold everything that Shayna Baszler did. So right now, less is more. Let her go in there, let her injure fucking people. That's fine. Injured storyline, I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly what it is. And speaking of that, right before that match, a very uninspired bullshit promo from Becky Lynch. I'm tired of her. I can't wait. I don't care if it's Ronda coming back or whoever's going to come back to take the belt off of her. I'm really done with Becky Lynch. Just an uninspired promo. Taped, not taped, live, doesn't matter. Uninspiring and a weak ass version of a female Stone Cold Steve Austin. Weak.
That's her character. You know,
yeah, I know, but it's just
I know
uninspiring. Like, you know, like at least Austin Rock, they keep, if you're a top person, give a top flight promo, for God's sakes. It was just uninspired and boring. Completely just
you know what I think it might be? I think Becky Lynch is one of those, and it's not a negative. It's just there's some people that really feed off the energy of the crowd. And I think cutting a promo, I tell you, I swear to God, I was going to tweet this earlier, but I usually don't tweet too much during the shows unless, you know, something really, really gets me going. But I did something today that I don't normally do. No, it's not intercourse. People are going to ask. But no, I swear on my mother, I did this tonight. And I welcome everybody to do it later this week or do it Friday. It's actually pretty fun. When Zelina Vega came out, and she was cutting the promo with Drew, and she was like reading her fed lines like out loud, you know, like, sorry to interrupt you, but meanwhile Drew had already like started the confrontation on Andrade. She was just like, whatever. But when she started talking, in my mind, and I swear to God, I invite everybody to do this. It's fun, for real. In my mind, I pretended there was a live crowd there. And when she was cutting a promo, I just heard in my mind the fans going, what? And during the night tonight, during parts of Raw, I just envisioned to myself how the crowd would react to stuff. When Andrade was saying some of the stuff he was saying, like, I envisioned the crowd to have no fucking reaction whatsoever. So Becky, in her case, I think she really needs the energy of the fans to fall back on. And she doesn't have it right now. So, you know, when you're cutting a promo, sometimes you cut a promo and you say something and you expect the fans to respond. And when they don't, that's a problem. But when they do, you know that you're on the right path. I always talked about that infamous moment. I'm still looking for it, and I haven't found it yet. I'll never, ever forget Cedric Alexander. There was a backstage segment where I think Charlie Caruso or somebody brought Cedric Alexander in for an interview segment, and he came into the picture, and what a lot of them do in the back is when they go into the picture, they look up like this, and they don't say nothing for a second. And they look up and they pause because they expect to hear that instantaneous crowd pop, the reaction that he just entered the picture. Like, let me bring in, please welcome Cedric Alexander. He goes in and then he goes like this. And he's expecting the crowd to give him that second or two pop, and then they do the interview segment. So, I think Becky, when she's cutting a promo and she says something nasty about Shayna or somebody else and the crowd pops at it, she knows that she could build on that, and that feeds her. Right now, you have no idea what the crowd reaction is like of what you're saying. See, I think when Drew was saying what he was saying, looking in the camera and thanking everybody, I just pictured that crowd chanting, "You deserve it, and you feed off of that, and you go further with it. And there's some people, without that crowd there, I think they're a little bit lost as far as how to continue. I think that might be a little bit of Becky's problem, which, wrestling is meant to be in front of a live crowd.
No, I agree. I mean, that's fair.
Look, it's also execution. I might be giving her a little bit too much defense, but I think that's one of those cases where you need the crowd to feed off of in order to say, because if she said a few things that just fell flat and she didn't get the reaction she was expecting, she might move on to something else instead. So,
is Becky the longest reigning? She beat Nikki Bella, right? With the
no, Nikki Bella was what, 440 something or whatever. No, I don't think she's passed Nikki Bella yet.
She has been picking up.
No, she couldn't have, because she became 365 around WrestleMania, which was only about 2 weeks ago. So she hasn't hit 400 yet.
She's got another few months to go.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? Maybe she did, but something tells me that when she passes Nikki Bella's reign, Nikki Bella, she's got to be in the fucking limelight for whatever. She would write a tweet, "I want to congratulate Alexa Bliss on becoming the longest reigning women's champion," and blah, 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 blah. Nikki Bella will invite herself to the eve. When she passes it, I want to congratulate, 2 days before, I want to congratulate Becky Lynch, who is about to surpass me as the longest reigning champion. And then the day, I want to thank Bella, congratulate her for tying me. And the day after, she'll fucking bring, I haven't seen any annoying Nikki Bella stuff with that, so she hasn't broke it yet.
The guys in the chat, franchise, and Tommy is saying it was 301 for Bella, and it's 372 for Becky.
Nikki was only 301?
Can anybody verify if that's true? Everyone's saying yes.
Well, you know what? Actually, the more I think about it, it was a Divas Championship.
Oh, is that what it was?
It was a Divas Championship. It wasn't a Women's Championship. So I don't think, if WWE would be smart, they should not compare the reigns of. True, yeah. And you want to know something? That's where WWE can have their cake and eat it too. You keep the Women's Championship and the Divas Championship separate, and they both could have their record title reigns.
That's true.
So Nikki Bella doesn't lose, her being the longest Divas champion of all time, and Becky Lynch, and hope to God 2-3 years from now, we don't have a storyline where Becky and Nikki, no. Nikki Bella, I don't think WWE compares the Divas Championship with the Women's Championship, and they shouldn't. So, Aleister Black beating Oney Lorcan in 9 minutes. Not a bad match. Oney Lorcan, I think, this is like the respectful filler. Like, we're not doing nothing with you right now, but we'll give you a competitive match so you don't look like shit.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's like the upper enhancement talent guy.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
He's, that's the best way to put it. He's just the guy that they're going to do absolutely zero with right now on the main roster. But, as a thank you for showing up to work, we'll give you a decent match. You could show what you could do, but in the end, you lose.
Oney Lorcan is probably like, can I get the Austin Theory treatment instead of the No Way Jose?
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But, I like Oney Lorcan. But unfortunately, there are some people out there that are just missing something. And at the end of the day, it is entertainment. Having 4 and 5 star matches are nice and everything, but I always compare that to off-Broadway and Broadway. There are some people on off-Broadway who are better than Broadway stars. But because they don't have that connection with the crowd and they don't get the opportunity for the notoriety, that, it'll only take you so far. You know, you might be a better actor or a better actress, but because you have that little element missing, you don't go further. And I think only Lorcan is that person right now.
Yep, true.
One of many. What'd you think of the grizzled? No, was it the grizzled young veterans? No, the grizzled young veterans. Who was the ones that got graduated to SmackDown?
Yeah, I haven't really checked them out yet. I mean, I know them from the few matches I've seen with NXT. I mean, they're a good team.
Guys, who they? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Oh yeah, are you talking about the Sons of Anarchy guys?
Yeah.
Forgotten Sons.
Forgotten Sons. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I forgot.
Yeah, you forgot.
I forgot.
Seriously, they made one of them shave their heads so they could tell the difference between them.
You know what I said on Friday? Mm-hmm. To me, they're going to be the next Sanity. They're going to fill some time right now, but in the end, you know, they're going to just, by the end of the year, they're broken apart. They're going to be.
They got the who's the guy from TNA who's got the face breaker there,
Gunner?
the tough guy, yeah,
Gunner.
Jason Riker, yeah, Bram, who used to be Bram in TNA, now he's Jason Riker here. He'll be something. They'll do something with him. You know, he wasn't bad in TNA. He's got skills. They're just making him some kind of wrecking crew guy here without really showing much wrestling. He's not that big of a guy in stature as far as height, but he's dieseled out. He's a legitimate tough guy. But they could probably do something with him as some sort of bodyguard for somebody. But yeah, those other two guys are not long for the roster. I think Riker is the guy. Just from his overall look, they just got to get him associated.
Yeah,
with
that's not Bram. I don't think Gunner.
Yeah.
Gunner was not Bram. Bram.
No,
I just wait a minute. You said Bram. Bram is Charlotte's ex-husband.
Gunner.
Yeah, Gunner.
That was his name.
Yeah,
no,
Bram.
TNA, they had a lot of guys who were alike there, but Gunner. But yeah, he was decent in TNA. But again, they've had him. He's been in developmental for a long time. Even well before he was a Forgotten Son, he was in the system for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
But again, with his look, make him the bodyguard for somebody, hook him up with somebody as like the heavy. But in that crew, he's the only guy who's going to break away. But they're going to be they're the next Sanity. But obviously, two of them, only Eric Young really kind of suffered. I mean, Killian Dane went to go back to NXT. And then the other dude went to the UK. So, I mean, there's some lights at the end of the tunnel for some of these factions that come up and they don't do much with. But they're just filler, I think. You know, they got a promotion, but it's really a demotion probably in the end, you know.
Next, we had Baszler to destroying Logan. Austin Theory over Tozawa. I know all the controversy right now is Jerry Lawler's comment, but you know, the match was fun. Tozawa is going to be in a cruiserweight tournament for the interim cruiserweight championship, which I like that idea. You know, whoever it is could keep the title for the time being, and you know, until Jordan Devlin is able to come back, and then you can just have a match to unify it or whatever it is, but. Tozawa, I just, he's fine. I like him a little bit, but, I think he was at his peak when he was with Titus O'Neil. Titus Worldwide.
Yeah, he was. He's a good worker. He's another guy like an Oni Larkin. He's a good hand, as they say in the business. He's a good hand, and they need guys like that, guys who probably aren't going to be much bigger than lower mid-card or enhancement or give other guys a good match. Obviously, they're building up this kid Austin Theory now as much as they can, but they match up. Those two guys match up well. It was a decent match, and then of course Tozawa got jumped by the crew. After that, they beat him down and stuff. And again, I'm liking this faction of these three guys. They match up well together, and it puts Zelina in more of a powerful position and a player on the show.
Yeah. Speaking of that faction, Angel Garza beat Tehuti Miles in 220. Mm-hmm. We had today. We had like two matches early on that were strong as far as content and length. Then we had a middle of just filler. 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes. There was good 4 or 5 matches that were like that. Garza over Tehuti Miles was only 2 minutes. Nia Jax over Kairi Sane was only 2.5 minutes. Yeah. Bobby Lashley over No Way Jose was less than 2 minutes. Yeah. But, again, my main concern of the whole night is, I don't know what the future holds for Kairi Sane, but she got pretty much destroyed by Nia Jax. I thought that Nia Jax was going to be the next feud for Becky because, as Mish and I were talking about yesterday, Nia is the originator of the man. She's the one that bloodied up Becky Lynch.
True.
You know, so you would think that that might be the easy feud to go with. Nia Jax being in Money in the Bank, you know, wouldn't be surprised if she takes it, but I don't know where this leaves Kairi Sane.
I think she's probably on her way out, unless they just do a program with her and Asuka real quick. But there's always been rumors of her going. I mean, she recently got married, so she might have made a deal to depart soon, because clearly they've been really putting Asuka on her own, maybe to get us ready for that. But Asuka could be tagged. She could be on her own. She'll be fine. I just don't think Kairi Sane's long for this company. I think she's probably leaving.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
And Mystery Man, I didn't say I wanted to see Nia Jax versus Becky Lynch. I'm just saying what I was saying since they announced before Braun Strowman won the belt. The minute they announced he was taking Goldberg, I said, okay, he's going to get Roman's title and he's going to feud with Bray Wyatt next, and that's what we're getting. Doesn't mean I want it. I'm not thrilled of seeing Bray versus Braun, but
it makes sense. It makes sense. They never really had a feud from when she broke her face.
Yeah,
a couple of years ago, so it makes sense. And Nia's coming back now and running her mouth. So again, Nia clearly will be the heel, and there'll be a good matchup until we can get into it afterwards about Ronda, if she's actually coming back or what she's doing. Until if and when Ronda comes back, Nia's a good interim.
Well, you know
opponent for Becky Lynch.
We could talk about. Well, let's just finish up the two matches.
Then we'll go.
Lashley, No Way Jose was really nothing. The big storyline there is they're now starting to set up the imminent divorce, quote unquote, between Bobby Lashley and Lana. Lashley's not happy with Lana at ringside, telling her to shut up. Yeah. Bobby Lashley still won, dominated, but that storyline is starting to come to an end. Yep. And Viking Raiders return. They were on my list of the people who haven't been there until they returned tonight, but they beat Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. I like Cedric and Ricochet as a tag team. I just don't know where they're going to go with it. They're
like a modern day Strike Force. Seriously, that's what it's like. It's like when they put Strike Force together.
Yeah.
Martel and Santana back in 87. I think Ricochet is, a failed experiment as a single star. It's just not going to work out. So they could put him in a tag team with Cedric, who has been probably dying to do something. Cedric's such a great talent, but the two of them can't cut a promo for shit. And so just stick him in a tag team. I'm telling you, it reminds me of what they did with Santana and Martel back in the 80s. And then Martel, of course, found his way when he turned heel and became the model, found himself and was able to have some charisma. But before that, it was, stick Santana with Martel. That's what they're doing with Ricochet and Cedric. And that's a good team. They're wearing similar colors. They're looking like a real team. I think they put on a great thing, but that's I think that's the whole thing. And either one of them they have charisma in the ring with their moves, but they can't. Neither one of them can talk for anything. And I think eventually one of them turning heel is the way to go. And clearly, I think Ricochet's turn to be a big, dickhead heel. And that'll be his saving grace in this company. Yeah. But as a babyface singles push, it's over for Ricochet.
Yeah. Anthony Diaz will talk about Ronda Rousey. And then after, this is the XFL. We'll talk about them filing bankruptcy. So that's for you. So Viking Raiders win. I'm a little curious as to why they haven't, been around for a couple of weeks. Again, I think it's just the case that, WWE, as soon as they got that okay from DeSantis, it's like, all right, we got the okay. Because, this is the thing, Kev, that I think some people don't realize. My father's store is open right now. I went in there. God bless my brother, everybody who works there, friend in the podcast family who has his own wrestling podcast. I don't, let me know if it's okay for me to reveal who you are. Maybe you don't want that revealed, but there's a mutual podcaster that I know a lot of you tune into every week, actually works in my dad's store too. They're working. You know what I mean? Like, they're working 8 to 7 or 8 to 5, whatever it is, and they're doing everything that they're doing. So if you are allowed to work, it's business as usual. You know, WWE obviously is not going to have 20 people in the same in the same room at the same time, but it's pretty much business as usual now, just, with an empty arena, but, it was nice to see Viking Raiders back. But then the next we had Drew McIntyre, having a match with Andrade. I kept looking at the clock. I'm like, okay, Seth Rollins said he was going to, curb stomp, whatever, blah, 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 blah. He's been crucified, blah, whatever. He comes out, interferes, goes off the air. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins appears maybe the match at Money in the Bank.
I agree, but we left out one thing, an interview right before then revealing the newest member of the Raw roster official, because she's wearing WWE EST now, is Bianca Belair, who appears to be with them, obviously real-life wife of Montez Ford, trying to serious them up. They were joking around, and she chastised them for fooling around too much. That's why they never beat the Viking Raiders. So I think, what do you think, DT? Is she gonna be part of this crew with Street Profits?
Sure, it is.
No, but officially, but she'll be obviously competing, I would think, for the title here. Like, she's going to be a serious woman competitor, right?
Oh, yeah.
She's not going to be like a Zelina.
Fans will not allow her to be just, valet or a manager.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hope not.
No, she's going to be right now, they're just trying to buy time because there's a lot of fans that are still in an uproar that she got kind of cheated out of Mania. My God, she had a fucking awesome performance in the Royal Rumble. She did good in NXT. What's the rush? You know what I mean? Like, I said this about Finn Balor a couple of years ago, and I said it about others. Why do you want WWE to blow their load so early with certain people when there's others having the opportunity right now for Mania? No rush. Next year's Mania, Bianca Belair will probably have a major role in it. Bianca Belair, they could take their time with, and who knows? Maybe she will get a return match with Charlotte, because WWE right now, you see some commingling with the main roster as NXT. You're going to see Cesaro, fighting for the Cruiserweight title. You're going to see Charlotte also on NXT. You're not going to see the opposite. You're going to see in NXT less people than you normally would, when there's live crowds there, because, it's just the way they have the setup right now. There are many more people missing right now from appearing in NXT than it is on Raw or SmackDown. But you also got to look at it like, when you really stop and think who is not appearing right now on Raw or SmackDown. Roman Reigns, Undertaker, who was part-time anyway, AJ Styles, Gallows and Anderson. I mean, Gallows and Anderson weren't in the grave. Why aren't they around? You know what I mean? Like, they're giving people a little bit of a break. So right now, this gives some people an opportunity that may not have gotten it. In my opinion, even Charlotte today, and, Charlotte's promo, I give her credit, man, because I did a rant about it 2 weeks ago that a lot of people hated, but people admit now that I was right. Charlotte needed to win that NXT title because Charlotte can elevate some women in NXT. And who the fuck wants to see Charlotte feud with Becky again, or Sasha Banks, or, you know what I mean? Like, this is just a whole crop of new talent. And Charlotte has actually elevated Rhea Ripley a little bit, even though she lost the title.
She has. Again, Rhea's young. She loses nothing by losing to Charlotte. Absolutely nothing.
Agreed 100%. But, again, not a bad Raw. Business-wise, I'm not happy, that they're getting special treatment. As a wrestling fan, a selfish wrestling fan, I'd rather see some matches than none. I'm sure that some other wrestling companies are a little annoyed right now, like, why the fuck aren't we essential? We do the same exact thing that they do. Well, you don't. But I'm not talking about AEW, because AEW is in a totally different state right now. But
True.
you know,
I wonder what you're saying, DT, is right. I wonder if other wrestling organizations are like these motherfuckers. They get to work and we don't. Like,
Yeah.
I guess being kind of the top notch, the juggernaut wrestling promotion is what it is. I mean, because you could say, well, we're wrestling too, but come on, there's only one WWE.
yeah, Anthony. Honestly, I don't think Io Shirai has a chance right now. Charlotte, I don't think is going to hold the NXT title too long. I think she will be the empty arena champion. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just think right now they'd rather save the title reigns of some of the younger up and coming stars for, crowd, for fans in buildings. Like, why would you see the Drew McIntyre situation? If WWE doesn't have, crowds for another 2-3 months, I'm not saying that Drew's going to lose the title beforehand, but just think about the idea if Drew McIntyre loses that belt before WWE has live crowds again. I mean, just think of how shortchanged it feels that Drew McIntyre never got the opportunity to hold that title up in the air as champion in front of a live crowd. I don't think that's going to happen, but I hope it doesn't happen. But in the case of Charlotte right now, she cuts a great promo. She doesn't have to have the live crowd there. So for the interim, she could be the champion. We'll probably have some bullshit finishes with some of her matches, maybe. I don't know. But I don't think Io Shirai takes that belt off of Charlotte right now, in my opinion. So, talk a little bit about Ronda Rousey, I guess. I love these people online that are convinced it's a work, it's a shoot, it's a work shoot. To me, it's like, for those that don't know, I talked a little bit about Friday where she called the WWE fans fucking ungrateful. And she talked about fake wrestling. Lana got a little bit annoyed at it. So did Alexa Bliss. And then Ronda Rousey basically wrote a follow-up, which got a lot of buzz. And she said, and I quote, anyone who is outraged by me calling pro wrestling fake fights for fun has never been in a real fight. Damn, while you're all tiptoeing around bruising some pro wrestlers' huge, soft egos, no one is thinking about all the real fighters you're insulting when you're pretending pro wrestling is somehow on the same level of realism. Yes, I understand wrestling 300 days a year for years on end is incredibly tough on the body and a difficult profession. But do you know what would happen if you got into 300 real fights in a year? You would be dead. What's your overall thoughts on the Ronda Rousey situation?
I thought it was a work, obviously. I didn't think it was real. And it was interesting how many people thought it was real, and everyone get on the soapbox and cursing her out and, bringing up that she was a sore loser with the 2 UFC fights she lost. So typical Ronda Rousey, take her ball and go home, or be bitter and spiteful about something that she doesn't get her way in. I'm like, I think she's working everybody. I'm just like shrugging my shoulders and go, didn't she do this last year, or a year ago before Mania? Didn't she wasn't she caught when she was getting her hair done by her hairdresser and she was making fun of the WWE fans and making fun of the the locker room, so to speak, or people who take it too seriously? This has been done before, and Ronda is healing it up. So I didn't think much of it, to be honest with you. I thought it was all to do about nothing. When I saw it trending, I was like, oh, was Ronda coming back? And then I saw what it was, and I'm like, she's fucking doing her bullshit as she's done this before, and I think she enjoys getting off on it in a way. And the whole Steve-O interview, why would she give out something so newsworthy like that to Steve-O's podcast? I mean, I just thought the whole thing was ridiculous. She's just trying to generate some. I do believe she's coming back. I don't know when, but I thought she was just working people, which she's done before.
Honestly, my take on it is a little different. My take on it is I'm not in the ring, so her original comments were not directed towards me. So I don't think people should have been batshit about what she said in the first place.
Right.
But as far as, Lana and other people speaking up, I don't think a lot of this is storyline. I think eventually it could turn into storyline. I found it interesting that people like Becky Lynch and others kept their mouth shut when Ronda Rousey said all these things. That was one thing I found very, very interesting. Anybody find it interesting that all of a sudden, like the WWE community, all the blue check marks haven't all in unison, like spoke up about this? Like they all just put their tails between their legs. I personally look at it in a different way. I look at it like this, and I was bringing this up a little bit on Friday, but I really got into it yesterday with Mish. WWE has had a very big problem the last 2 or 3 years. And some of it is storyline driven. Some of it are people who are not being utilized on the roster, who are trying to create their own storylines on social media. And then there's others that it's legit and then may turn into a storyline. But the one thing that WWE has a massive fucking problem right now is, and I got into this yesterday on Patreon, it was not too long ago where all the wrestlers, especially the men, would have to show up dressed in a suit, tie, professional, had to look, just not in shorts and stuff. And you got fined if you showed up for the building not dressing professionally. Right. And WWE always had this this visual that everybody is professional, everybody is proper, everybody, keeps themselves in check. Yes, you're an independent contractor, but there is a certain code. And the thing is that, and I brought this up last year especially, when you have one wrestler in the WWE and another wrestler in the WWE, and they're threatening to beat the shit out of each other on social media, whether it's storyline driven or not, the perception is that WWE has lost a lot of their control over their own employees, in the sense that they think it's fine to just start ragging on other people. Like, see the Ronda Rousey thing? I look at it like this. If she truly loved WWE, if she truly loved Vince and Stephanie, if she truly loved pro wrestling, why would you just, the F word, the fake, is like, that's like, I'm not going to compare it to other words out there, but that's like the worst word you could say about wrestling. It's the worst. So to turn around and to throw that out there for any reason is, to me, stupid. And why you remember that actor from Saturday Night Live? Didn't he say fake to Braun Strowman? And you remember not too long ago? I think
Colin, whatever.
Whatever it is. Do you remember how the internet got up in an uproar because this motherfucker was calling it fake and this and that, and then they turned it into like a storyline, Yeah. But the point is that there's some terminology, storyline or not, you don't fucking do. And it just gives this perception of WWE that they have lost control over not only how some people act on social media, but it's like, they're in a bad situation financially. They're still a successful company, but the amount of money they lost in the stock market is insane. And then you add on the fact that the audience and the revenue has been on a tailspin for a couple of years now. Can't blame it on 9/11 anymore. And, AEW getting some momentum, and, wrestling is just not what it used to be. And then you add in so many trolls online that just, knock it so much. You just like can't even enjoy wrestling on social media. You praise something and most people will rip you apart. So I just think that WWE's lost a lot of control. And even if they didn't lose that control, you would think that if somebody has the opportunity to work for such a special company like that maybe not physically in the building, but you'd have your suit on when you're on social media and not do some of the say the stupid shit that you say on on social media. I just think it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. You know, to let the cat out of the box for the sake of a storyline to get her more over as a heel, I think is just asinine and stupid. Ronda Rousey does not need to call wrestling fake and fake workers, you know, to get her more over as a heel. She could get herself over as a heel just fine. I think it's stupid. I think the way WWE allows some of the shit being said on social media is just awful.
Well, they did bring up Ronda Rousey while Shana Baszler was in the ring when they said, I wonder what they'd see what Ronda Rousey, her friends said on social media. So they brought it up, DT. So I think it doesn't work.
But again, you know, they try to give that realism factor. But at the end of the day, it's just like there's certain terms you don't need to do to. I just think it's just a really dumb move, in my opinion.
Speaking of social media, because as I'm talking, you know, people send us stuff as we're on the show. It's like, see how many people want Jerry Lawler fired. I'm like, this is so stupid. I'll comment on that tomorrow on Twitter.
We talked about it earlier.
No. I'm talking about people sending me now saying.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Notable people in the community are thinking Jerry Lawler should be fired. I'm not us, I'm saying, but just our.
Yeah.
But it's so stupid. I mean, again, I hope that it doesn't lead to anything. My God, it's a fucking wrestling show.
I'll take a quote from the movie Stripes that's outdated, but I don't give a shit. I said it to somebody the other day. Lighten up, Francis. Everybody out there that has their balls in a bunch, lighten up, Francis. Go fucking, you know, make yourself a fucking ice cream sundae and shut the fuck up. Seriously.
We've got a lot of bigger problems than a comment like that. My God.
Yeah.
We're locked in our homes here. We're worried about, you know, someone's. And I got news for you. You know what I care about? If Tozawa has a problem with it. And if he doesn't, then shut the fuck up. Who cares?
Even if Tozawa had a problem with it, I think he would probably just say, you know, nah, it's all right. You know, I mean, it was a stupid thing to say, but again, you know, we have this thing online, and it's not just pro wrestling, it's just life in general. You know, that these people have to feel like they're part of a movement, and they have to, like, they don't have success in, like, they'll start a petition, but they'll never get enough signatures. They may start some type of a business, but they never get customers. They may try to do this, but they never get it. So what they do is they latch on to something that they know a whole ton of people are going to get triggered over. And then this way that they take part of that, if they all get together, all the losers, if they all get together in unison, and there's enough of them to get Jerry Lawler off TV because of this, then they're all going to look in the mirror at each other and they're going to be like, yeah, we did it. And then they're right back to their loser fucking lives. Like, you get Jerry Lawler off of TV and then what? Seriously. And then fucking what? It was a stupid thing to say. Jerry Lawler, I guarantee you, before tomorrow night, Jerry Lawler issues an apology online. And I think that he'll say that he apologized to Tozawa. It's a stupid thing to say. And that's it. You know, but again,
what it was, DT, was a joke that didn't land, and that was it. I don't think it was mean-spirited. I just think it was an outdated joke that didn't land. And even back in the day, I don't even know how funny it would have been in 1975, and not in a mean-spirited way, but even in a funny way. It was typical hokey Jerry Lawler stuff that he's been doing since the 80s, since he first went heel. Back in Memphis, he would do stuff like that. Yeah. So again, people are like, we're so past this in society. I'm like, jokes? We're past jokes in society? I mean, we're so past jokes. You ever hear, you know, Chris Rock or anybody, or Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live? We're past making fun of. So if someone said, they called it the meatball parmesan drop because he was Italian, I would think it was funny. I'd be like, can I use that joke? I thought it was pretty funny. So again, people have to stop being so sensitive.
Yeah, I honestly,
don't think it was mean. It wasn't mean-spirited.
It was a dumb joke, but that's why I didn't even comment about it on social media. It's like, I'm not going to feed into these people. You know, let them all get their balls in a bunch and in their uproar. My God, there's a fucking virus going on right now. There's much more important things going on in this world. But again, they have no purpose, no sense of purpose. So, let me feel like I'm relevant. So I'll speak out. I'll write a tweet. Jerry Lawler is disgusting. He should be fired. That's racist. And they know they'll get 100 or 200 people like, yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh my God, I said something that's actually clicked on with people. I feel relevant. And it's all about these people feeling relevant. And honestly, I'm not feeding into it. Fuck them.
I agree.
Seriously. See this shirt again? Fuck you. So anyway, XFL. The XFL.
Oh, God.
On Friday, I talked about it, filed for bankruptcy. Friday we didn't know about the bankruptcy, but Friday they had shut down operations. I was a little curious why Vince McMahon wasn't looking to sell the XFL, but closed its doors, was not going to come back for 2021. Then we find out today that they filed flat-out bankruptcy. And I apologize for the lack of professionalism here, everybody, for the way I got to scroll this. But I have on line right now a list of some of the biggest creditors. And when you look at some of these names and you see that there's arenas involved, Ticketmaster is owed almost $700,000. I mean, there is millions and millions of dollars in debt. This is one right here. Here is another one where you see some investors from Stamford, Connecticut, around the Connecticut area. WWE was involved as well. I'll get into their stock in a little bit. But you could see, I mean, these creditors go, and there's like 20 that it ranges from almost $300,000 to $2 million. They owe the Meadowlands $370,000. They owe other stadiums $400,000. This is pretty much of what I said on Friday, that people forgot that the XFL is only a 2 or 3 month season. It's not a business that's all year round. So all of their annual revenue has to come up within 2 or 3 months. And when they were forced to cancel all of these games, they owed the arenas hundreds of thousands of dollars apiece. They agreed to pay all the workers for the season, but they were left with tens of millions in debt, over 10 million in debt. And you realize now that Vince McMahon, when he invested his money in the XFL, he invested it not necessarily to make a profit this year, but I brought up Friday on the Don Tony show, like when I started my insurance business in 98, I started with no customers. The end of the first month, I hope to have 10. By the end of the second month, I hope to keep 9 of those 10 and get another 10. And by the end of that year, I have a foundation of revenue that I could carry into next year and build on that. When Vince committed to all of this money and then the game's canceled after a couple of weeks, you had all of these places still looking for their funds. Where's all this business interruption insurance, geniuses in wrestling podcast and website land? Where's business interruption coverage for fucking the XFL? You know, that's why when all these people were trying to make those claims at that time, they didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. But the XFL filed bankruptcy today, and it's done. I mean, what's your take on the overall situation with the XFL?
What a mess! And Vince McMahon's got to be reeling between this and WrestleMania, and so bad year for the McMahon family or for Vince. I'm really surprised, and it's too bad because it seemed to me that I wasn't really watching. I watched half a game one time. But most people, XFL was getting high marks from people, even people in the sports community. People in the NFL were talking about how much they liked it. Notable sportscasters were saying this is pretty good. And there was some talent there and everything, and fan base was starting to build. And it got yanked right out from underneath them. No fault of their own. The virus, talk about a victim in the history books. When we go back and you talk about victims of this whole thing, this will be a franchise, a sports franchise it's historic. It completely knocked it on its ass.
Yeah.
not to recover. Some of us listen. A lot of people we are yet to know who's going to recover and who's not from this whole thing. But they are the first real victim that is already thrown in the towel. But I didn't know, DT, that they were in this much debt. I mean, you don't think about stuff like that until you started talking about it. $2 million here, $700,000 here, $500,000. You're like, oh shit, yeah, creditors and people they owe. Yeah. Right, it's not just gonna not forgive. Nothing's forgiven. It's not free. Like you said, it's not free. Everything's hands are washed and no problem. It's not like that for a lot of people. But I tell you, it's too bad because it was getting great marks, and I know people who were enjoying it. I had a friend who was starting to buy merch online for it and who was getting into it. He goes, Cav, you got to watch it. I'm like, I'm not a big football guy anyway. But again, I was starting to see something that I didn't see last time and yanked right out. But I would have thought for sure they would have bounced back beautifully for 2021, bigger and better than it was even going to be in 2020. And now it's not to be at all. And again, it's unbelievable.
I think, and I just put this up, and listen, everybody, I'm not going to today give a lesson as far as what Class A and Class B stock is, but a lot of people early on were focusing on a quote that Vince McMahon said before they had their first game. And Vince's quote was, the XFL is a separate entity completely. We have 400 employees, and the kickoff was that Saturday. He said it's completely separate to WWE. And now people are taking note that WWE owned 23.5% of Class B stock. All right, Vince owned the other 76.5%, but Vince owned 100% of the Class A stock. I think what this proves is that Vince McMahon probably should not have funded the XFL on his own. I don't know why he refused to bring aboard a couple of partners. And, it's a corporation. So the corporation filed for bankruptcy. But, the amount, I tell you, man, obviously they weren't going to sell, the stock. I don't think they ever made it available on the stock market. Of course, the stock probably would have went down to next to nothing as soon as the season was canceled because of this. But I tell you, man, it's a little fucked up. I really feel bad for them right now. And all the players that lost an opportunity, the fans that were, Big Ball, I don't think he lied to stockholders. I think some of the recent decisions was done to try to save the company. But, there are some very big laws that you cannot break in the business world. And Vince is not stupid. So for people out there that are going to think automatically that this is going to happen or this is going to happen or Vince should be put in jail, these are people that know nothing about the stock market. These are people that know nothing about the corporate world. These are people that know nothing about bankruptcy. These people that know nothing about ownership. They're just sitting behind a computer. That's really what it is. But it sucks. The XFL is done.
Yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame because again, it was looking good and nothing they did, not their fault. But unfortunately, the financial downfall is there, and the creditors are still there, and there's a lot of fallout from it.
Yeah,
it's a very, very unfortunate. Again, probably just like I told you last week, I don't think anybody sat around that conference room and said, inclement weather, what do we do? What do we do this? What if there's a pandemic? There's probably things never came up with a lot of people. No pandemic plan for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, other than that, we're almost done for the night. Next week, we have the men's Money in the Bank qualifying matches. We got Austin Theory versus Aleister Black. By the way, I got a kick out of when they had Zelina Vega in commentary. I think it was during Austin Theory's match today. They were, I think it was Tom Phillips bringing up Aleister Black. And he was saying to Zelina Vega, like, Aleister Black, what do you think about, how he's doing right now? And she's like, I think you need to shut up. Because, he was trying to, like, tease, like, because they have the personal relationship. But Aleister Black next week against Austin Theory. Rey Mysterio versus Murphy, which I think will be fun. And Explain this one to me. Apollo Crews taking on MVP next week for a Money in the Bank qualifying match.
I can't explain it to you. I'm actually I'm at a loss for words on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, MVP, I remember him saying, this match was my only match, and it was to show my kid, one time on Raw. I would not be surprised if this motherfucker wins, so he gets to go at it with Rey Mysterio in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Personally, Apollo Crews, I think, deserves the win, especially since they just moved him from SmackDown to Raw, and he had that decent match with Aleister Black last week. I think Apollo Crews needs to be in that Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah, again, he's a good talent. If this is an opportunity to get him a second, third, or fourth look with the fans or with people, why not? This is the time to do. This is the time to do it. As you said, DT. Some people are out, whether they didn't want to come to work or took that option to not come in. Other people are coming in. Why not give them the opportunity? Yeah,
I agree. One fall. No Kevin Owens. Well, Seth was probably going to go against Drew, but no Humberto Carrillo. No, Garza's not even in Money in the Bank. It is what it is. I mean, Kevin Owens, look, they're giving him some time to be with his family and his kids. Yeah. Remember what I said, a week ago on this show. Take note of the people who they are giving extra time, right now. You see the trend. It's a lot of people with children. AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan. We're not sure about Daniel Bryan. Roman Reigns obviously pulled himself off, but the ones with the extended family with children, I mean, young children, I should say. Yeah. They're giving them some extra time, which I have no problem with. But and especially Mish was talking about this yesterday, that when they were filming a lot of WrestleMania, they were filming till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So I think some of those wrestlers deserve the much needed break. Garza, he's in his early 20s. He could fucking stick around. You're seeing more of the younger guys right now getting a little bit of an opportunity, and the older wrestlers are getting a little bit of a respite right now because of what's going on.
Yeah.
So that kind of sticks. So Wednesday, we have AEW Dynamite. We have NXT. We'll see if a certain couple actually makes their debut. Right now they're just sitting in a car with their lights on. But I'm looking forward to it. You looking forward to NXT?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially after the climax last week. Definitely looking forward to it.
I got a good laugh last week because I wrote on Twitter last Wednesday afternoon. I said, if Killer Kross debuts tonight, I hope it's before 9:58 p.m. so I have enough time to go grab his shirt, wear it for the show. Oh. And he fucking debuted at 9:58 p.m. I didn't have time. I had the computer on. I was dressed, and I was like, I wasn't going to go in the closet and, take it. Yeah, I could have just took the other one and put this on, but I want to see an actual in-ring debut. I want to see if he attacks Gargano, and maybe we have Candice LeRae and Gargano versus Scarlett and Killer Kross, but it's going to be very interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah, and there's some guys, on that roster that he's actually wrestled in the past, but mostly on the indie circuit, so we'll see what happens. But any final comments before we go?
No, just for anybody who's a Patreon, or if you want to be a DTKC Patreon, tomorrow night is live episode of Castle Chronicles on our Discord channel. And you can sign up now if you didn't. Little as $5, right, DT? You get everything. At Don Tony, Patreon/Don Tony. So sign up and you can check it out. You just did a breakfast soup yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So that'll be up there for everybody, and you get a lot of bang for your buck in the contest. Check out the prize wall, all that stuff. So sign up now if you're not signed up already.
Yeah, absolutely. Brano, I don't see anything on here. What were you sending in? I'm just I'm trying to look. I don't see anything here. So, but yeah, let me know about Kevin Sullivan and Jim Cornette. Oh, you know what? So before we go, I know you saw it.
I heard it.
Yeah. You know, look, I saw 2 clips, and I was like, that's enough for me. You know, this goes back. I know you're a big fan of women, so was I. But this goes back to what I said about Vice and Dark Side of the Ring and conveniently leaving certain things out. Jim Cornette had Kevin Sullivan on his podcast. They were talking about Dark Side of the Ring. They were talking about Nancy a little bit. One thing that people brought to my attention, I heard, was Jim Cornette pointing out that Nancy once was arrested for stabbing Kevin Sullivan. They had a fight.
That's true.
And that was omitted from Dark Side of the Ring.
It was.
But what did you think of the overall interview with Kevin Sullivan and Jim Cornette? I personally thought it was not needed. I don't know what the purpose was for.
Jim was trying to be a good friend to Kevin. I think Jim was trying a little bit too hard, though. Kevin's got us. The one thing I shake my head and just Kevin's in denial. Kevin's got to stop making like, I tried to be nice to Chris Benoit. We were cool. I don't get the dude took your wife, your hot wife. You were a higher up in that company. He was under you. We understand that it would have been hard to go to work every day and look at that guy. A normal thinking, rational man. There would be some sort of bitterness. I don't know anybody who's cool with that. I don't know. Sullivan had to stop. I pushed Malenko. I don't understand why Eddie Guerrero and Saturn hated me. I don't get it. I was so not. I put the belt on him because of the situation and because your friend Mike Graham went and threatened him in the back and threatened to kill Chris Benoit, ironically, and which Kevin admitted Mike did threaten those guys. And that was the whole thing that was well documented of why the Radicals went to WWF in 2000. Kevin's just got to stop with this. We were fine. You weren't fine. The guy had an affair with your wife, and it's ridiculous. It's just stupid. That's the only thing I hated hearing that again because I'm just like, Kevin, stop already. This is nonsense. You're just come out and say, yes, it was a difficult work environment. And probably if WCW was run properly, one of us should have left after that happened because it was so uncomfortable and so awkward and unusual. But the other thing was the Nancy stabbing him thing. I had heard about, DT. I don't know if you had heard about that. But again, he denied that he gave Nancy the black eye, claimed he never met Dean Malenko's wife, doesn't know why she said that. And the documentary about that she was there for Nancy when Nancy was supposedly assaulted by Kevin. She came to see Dean's wife in the therapy office where Dean's wife accompanied her to that office with Chris Benoit. And Kevin is saying that they have the timeline mixed up. That never happened. And he basically said Sandra, Nancy's sister, conflates a work with reality, that him and Chris Benoit, there was no, again, denying that there was any animosity, that there was any kind of fighting or any kind of problems in the back, and was basically saying Sandra didn't understand the business and didn't understand what a work and what reality was. That I found very strange. I would think Sandra, Nancy's sister, who she was very close to, was smartened up, as they say, years and years before WCW, since woman has been in the business since '83. I just found that strange that him saying Sandra didn't know. Nancy probably didn't smarten her sister up to the business. I don't know about that, DT. I think all the families are smart. Don't you think all the families are smart to the business?
You know what I think?
What?
I think everybody who is enjoying this right now, please hit the like button. Thank you, everybody. I keep forgetting to, I would appreciate that. But no, look, I started tuning into it. And, the first clip I looked at was about, the stabbing thing. I would just want to hear what, Kevin Sullivan was saying about it. Then I started listening a little bit more and, pretty much just confirmed what I have been saying all along, that Dark Side of the Ring, Vice, in attempts to appease some of the people on the show, they rewrite history a little bit. I got into this whole rant last Wednesday, and I add a little bit to Friday about Brawl for All. Right. Nothing against Bart Gunn, but it felt like this was done to rewrite history, that Bart Gunn's career was ruined because of this. I said this twice last week. Go back and watch the match where Bart Gunn knocked out JBL and listen to Shawn Michaels' commentary. Bart Gunn was doing fucking nothing in WWF at that time, and that gave him second life. That guy's career was pretty close to done already. I invite anybody out to go watch the shoot interview that he did with our video years ago. But when I watched the Sullivan Cornette, I'm like, I don't know what the purpose of that interview was. I tend to agree with you that, trying to maybe, help his friend out a little bit because, I pointed this out. Some people out there were more angry at Kevin Sullivan than Chris Benoit, which to me is just fucking insane.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's just that's what it felt like. Yeah. But it's like still, I mean, this is what it is. I don't know, man. I know this dark side of the ring is trying to, there's a lot of work being put into it. And I would say to everybody watching, definitely go see them if you want to see something interesting. But I would also put a little reserve on some of what you're watching because, things are getting omitted. Things are being portrayed to put a certain direction. And especially the fact that pretty much nobody that's employed with WWE is involved with any of this or gets to say anything. I could only fucking imagine what the Snuka Nancy Argentino thing is going to look like.
Oh, that's tomorrow. Yeah, that's tomorrow night, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not watching it, but I'll let, a few of my minions, my friends, give me a little, info on it to see. I want to see how much they omit and how much they try to rewrite because a lot of people, were very angry at Snuka and deservingly so, but it's almost like they're going to rewrite the history to make it beyond a shadow of a doubt, brother. It's, I don't know.
Well, clearly, DT, Tamina can't be involved. I think Deuce, Snuka's son, might be involved in it from what I was told. From his side of the family, but clearly Tamina wouldn't be allowed to be part of that. So they're probably the only Snuka family member they'll probably hear from is who used to be Deuce, as everybody knows from Deuce and Domino. He was Jimmy Snuka Jr. on the independent circuit for a long time. I don't know who else from the family's involved, but yeah, I mean, it's the Brawl for All. The one thing I'll agree with Jim Ross that he said, DT, that you were talking about Bart Gunn. Jim Ross was like, no one was over in that Brawl for All. Before or after, nobody was over. It got nobody over. And Bart Gunn wasn't over anyway. He wasn't as a single. Smoking Guns were over to a degree as a tag team, but clearly Billy was the breakout, and that's why Billy became a legend in this business and a Hall of Famer, and Bart didn't. No offense to Bart. He wasn't going anywhere. He was in the new Midnight Express with Bob Holly. It was an underneath team. He wasn't going. Bart wouldn't have gotten over. No offense. Again, Bart seems like a nice guy, very likable. But Bart needs a reality check. He wasn't going anywhere. They didn't send him home. He would have got it. Just wasn't going to happen for him. He won a fight by chance. Anybody can win a fight on any given night. That doesn't mean he was going to be a superstar because of it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with the documentary tomorrow. So we'll talk about it next week. But maybe I'll mention it Wednesday also. But we are done, and it's good because we'll be under the 2-hour mark tonight, everybody. Which means that, I never knew, especially with YouTube, that when a show goes over 2 hours, there's like a ton of extra processing that needs to take place. Now, with it being under 2 hours, it pretty much will upload almost immediately. But, cool. Kev, I'll catch you tomorrow night for KNT Chronicles. Oh, no, it's Castle Chronicles.
Castle.
Your solo show. Okay, Castle Chronicles.
All right, I'll catch you tomorrow night.
Yeah, and then tomorrow's Castle Chronicles on Patreon. Wednesday will be Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite. Friday will be Don Tony Show. Not sure if we'll have Mish on yet. Not sure if we're going to do the one-chip challenge. Maybe. And then I think Saturday or Sunday I'll be doing a Patreon, blah, blah, blah. Bring one of those back. But all right, Kev. Talk to you tomorrow.
Got you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
All right, later. Peace. All right, everybody. Listen, once again, if you don't mind, on the way out, if you enjoyed the show, hit the like button because it allows the show to, it's cool. It shows up as recommendations for other people. And I could only imagine, especially wearing a shirt like this, OJ, I can only imagine some people on YouTube that are like, wait a minute, what the hell is this show? Why is this showing up on my feed? So that'll be cool. And once again, for everybody in the chat, especially Mr. Krabs, Anthony Diaz, was it Braun? I forget his name, but my apologies. But hopefully this Wednesday, but if not this Wednesday, then either Friday or Monday, I will have everything else set up. I have it set up now. And this way now, Super Chats will immediately pop up on the screen. And, you know, once I get that up and running, then we'll add some special effects to it and stuff like that. I know a lot of other podcasts do that, and it's pretty fucking cool. Unfortunately, like I said, you know, a lot of podcasters out there, you know, like, they'll smile to my face and wish me good luck and everything. But when I reach out, you know, just general, and ask for a little bit of assistance, opinions, advice, how to do this, nobody comes to my attention. So I will finish it up. I could have done it tonight, but I was a little afraid because every chat started popping up on the screen, and everybody who's active right now, Flaps a Corpse, Brian Long, Larry Rovers, Tungoon, so many of you, John Dillinger, everybody's chat would have been on the screen. It would have just been total disarray. But no, Ben, I got it down pat now. I had a crash course last night on Google Sheets, learning how to do that. And there's a great website that I never knew about, but I found it on a Google search a couple of days ago. When I say it, a lot of you out there that are on YouTube for a long time, you're going to be like, you got to be kidding me. That DT, you didn't know about this? It's called IFTTT.com. And IFTTT stands for if this or then that. If this, then that. You could go with this or you could go with that. Anybody know that song I'm talking about? But anyway, what it is that you tell, you know, the computer, if this happens, then this happens. So I have it set up now that when a super chat pops up, if a super chat comment pops up, then it appears on the screen. But I see some of these people on YouTube where they got like balloon things going on and disco lights, and it's all wired up with Wi-Fi. And if this happens, then shit happens beyond. I'm getting all that stuff. I am going to have a ball with this. So you give me a couple of days, I'll have that set up for the screen. You give me about a month, I'll have stuff that, you know, if a super chat comes in, something's going to happen over here. Maybe I'll even get one of those electronic smackers where, you know, if super chat comes in, something automatically slaps me in the face. So Engine number 9. Yeah, that was a great song, man. But anyway, I'm out of here. I'm starting to ramble. I want to keep this under 2 hours today. I get to go to sleep in a normal hour tonight. But I want to thank you all, as always. Much appreciated. If you like the show, again, hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. And if you like the channel, subscribe. I broke, the Donzilla Army broke 9,000 subscribers 6 days ago. We're almost at 9,500. So I see, somebody told me last week, somebody who I really value, that's does a really good wrestling podcast on YouTube that has 50,000 subscribers, that'll narrow it down to a couple. And he said to me, he goes, DT, he says, you're going to hit a number. And he says, I don't know if it's going to be 9,000 or 10,000 or 15,000. He says, but you're going to hit a number. He says, and once you hit that number, then it's just going to be like a snowball. He says, you're going to just start seeing tons of subscribers coming in. And I just found out about this membership thing. So apparently you could be like a member on the YouTube, and you could get like custom emojis and have exclusive Q&As. So I'm going to be spending tomorrow night, while Kev is doing his Patreon show, I will be on YouTube going through a whole bunch of shit. And I'm telling you, man, we're going to have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. But I want to thank you as always for the support. As always, I am Don Tony. I bid you farewell for tonight. I'm at an hour 58. So I will wish you all a pleasant evening. And yours truly will be back Wednesday night with your next edition of Wednesday Night Dynamite. Oh, and by the way, what podcaster predicted last week that NXT was going to win the ratings last week? The only podcaster that I'm aware of?
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.